Hey everybody, Kevin Elliott here with Home Dabbler. Today I want to give you a few quick tips on how to plant a tree in your yard, specifically a fruit tree. Michelle in Pennsylvania messaged me through the Home Dabbler Facebook page and said, hey, I have this really nice side yard. It has lots of sun and it's really flat and I don't know what to do with it, but I'd really like to have some fruit trees. So I had this idea. I've had this pretty little grapefruit tree on my front porch for a few years in this pot, and it's really overgrown the pot. It's about time to move it out and get it out here into the yard. So this was perfect timing. Thanks, Michelle. So the first thing you need to know about a tree of any kind when you're going to plant it is right plant, right place. Remember that, right plant, right place. Way too often, people will plant a tree specifically way too close to their house, way too close to other plants. The tip is you have to plant the tree knowing the size it will get. Plant it in a space the size it will grow to, not the size it is when you buy it in the store. So you don't want to put it under the eave of your house. You don't want to put it up next to where you're going to be driving on your driveway. Give it some room. So you'll see this tree has a lot of space on either side to really stretch out and grow toward the sun. The next thing is, speaking of sun, is that especially with fruit trees, this is a citrus of course, but this is true for all fruit trees. They want to grow with as much sunlight as they can get. So your fruit tree, if possible, should be planted facing south, on the south side of your yard. So south is that way for me. So I'm going to plant this right here where the sun comes up the very first in the morning in the southeast, and it will get sun almost all day. So remember that when you're talking about fruit trees. The third thing you have to remember is when you dig your hole, see I've already dug my big hole here. When you dig your hole, you want to make sure that it is about half again bigger than the root ball of that tree. And the reason that is because you want a lot of really good soft dirt around the perimeter of that root ball. So those feeder roots, when you pull it out of that pot, they can run straight into that soft dirt and start to establish themselves. So you'll want to dig the hole a little bit bigger than you think you might. Now, that's bigger diameter-wise, width. It's not bigger depth, and I'll show you that in just a second. So just make sure the hole is quite a bit wider than the bottom of your root ball. Now, next thing you have to know is that when you pull this thing out of the pot, check this out. When you pull this out of the pot, it's okay to tip them over like this. So you tip it over and you pull it out of the pot. Now see that? Look at all of those roots, those old bound up roots right there around that pot. Those are called feeder roots. And what will happen is, if you're not careful, if you just pick this up and drop it in that hole, those roots want to grow out this way. They want to grow out lengthwise. Because it's been in a pot, they've actually hit the side of the pot and turned around and started running around sideways like this. So if you aren't careful, this will get root bound. It will actually, the roots will continue to wrap in a circle and it can strangle the tree. So what you do is you get a little razor knife like this and you simply make some cuts. It's okay. It's not going to hurt the tree if you cut these roots. So you just go and make some straight up and down, some vertical cuts right through the roots. What that's going to do is any of those ones that have really run in a circle, it's going to let them come out sideways. So just like that, all the way around and on the bottom. Cut all those roots up. Okay, once you've done that, it's time to put this thing in the ground. So you'll notice when I put it in the ground, you see what I mean about having some space around the outside of that root ball, and that'll let those roots really run around. Now, I told you, you don't want to make the hole too deep, and that's super important because you want the top of the root ball, right there where the tree hits the ground, to be slightly above ground level. What that'll do is it'll let water run off of the bottom of that tree and out into around where the feeder roots are. If you put the tree too low in the ground, water will actually pool up around the trunk and that can rot the trunk. So you want it to be just a little bit taller than the ground. And then once you have it nice and centered, facing the way you want, I think I want to move this one a little bit like this. So that side right there can fill out. Check it to make sure it's nice and straight. And once it is, yeah, that looks good. Nice. Now, once it is, you put the dirt back in, nice and soft. Now, once you get your dirt all in, you will have to water this tree like crazy. So for the first year, really, you should water this tree several times a week. Soak it. I mean, really soak it. You can't give it too much water at this phase. Because remember, you've cut all those feeder roots, and now they have to run into brand new dirt, and they're going to be very, very thirsty. So don't feel like you're going to overwater it. You won't. Now, after the first year, you don't have to water it really at all, unless you have a severe drought. These trees are tough, and once you put them in the ground, they pretty much take care of themselves. So if you can get it through that first year, following these tips, you're going to have a great fruit tree in your yard. It'll provide shade, the birds will love it, and you will have fruit that you can eat in season. Thanks. Bye.